Medieval warfare, the art of the siege. You're standing beneath the walls of a medieval fortress. The air is thick with smoke. Arrows rain from above. A trebuchet hurls a 300-pound stone that smashes into the tower beside you, showering the ground with rubble. Your commander shouts for the battering ram, while men drag the mangled bodies of their friends from the front line. This isn't the clash of knights on open fields. This is siege warfare, the brutal methodical art of breaking stone, starving cities, and crushing hope. Today we'll uncover how the Middle Ages turned castles into prisons and warfare into science. For much of the Middle Ages, battles were rare. Armies didn't meet on vast plains, they met at walls. If you controlled the castles, you controlled the land, and to win, you had to take them. Siege warfare became the ultimate test of patience, strategy, and sheer brutality. It wasn't about courage, it was about endurance. Let's step onto the killing fields of the Middle Ages and learn how wars were really won. Section 1. Why sieges ruled the Middle Ages. In a world of fortified towns and stone castles, conquest wasn't about speed, it was about siegecraft. Armies couldn't march past a fortress and leave enemies at their backs, so nearly every campaign turned into a siege. A siege was part military, part psychological, and part starvation campaign. If you couldn't break the walls, you could break the people behind them. Section 2. The blockade. Starving the enemy. The simplest form of siege was the blockade. An army surrounded a city, cutting off food, water, and reinforcements. No need to fight, just wait. Hunger did the work. Some sieges lasted months, others years. In 1453, the Ottoman siege of Constantinople ended in 53 days, but the siege of Candia in the 17th century lasted 21 years. In medieval Europe, blockades were hellish. Starving civilians ate horses, dogs, even the dead. The army that could last longest won. Section 3. Siege engines, the machines of destruction. Medieval engineers built weapons that turned gravity and tension into terror. Battering rams, massive logs capped in iron, swung by dozens of men to smash gates, mangonels and onagers, early catapults that hurled stones or rotting carcasses, ballistae, giant crossbows capable of piercing armor and walls alike, trebuchets, the ultimate weapon, counterweighted machines that could fling 300-pound stones over 200 meters. Some trebuchets even hurled plague-ridden corpses or barrels of waste to spread disease. The defenders could only pray their walls held, because when the walls fell, mercy died. Section 4. Undermining, the war beneath the walls. When siege engines failed, attackers went underground. Miners dug tunnels beneath castle walls, propping them up with wooden beams soaked in fat or pitch. When ready, they set fire to the supports, collapsing the tunnels and bringing down entire sections of wall. It was slow, deadly work. Defenders often dug countermines to intercept enemy tunnels, leading to brutal underground combat in choking smoke and darkness. Section 5. Defending the fortress. Defenders had their own arsenal of horrors. Boiling water, oil, or molten lead poured through murder holes. Stones and logs dropped from machicolations. Archers unleashed volleys through arrow slits, invisible to the enemy. Every wall became a trap. Some castles built concentric defenses, multiple layers of walls that forced attackers through narrow kill zones. Even if the outer wall fell, another waited behind it. A few brave or mad defenders launched sallies, small raids outside the walls to burn siege towers and supplies. Section 6. Siege towers and scaling the impossible. To breach high walls, armies built siege towers, massive wooden fortresses on wheels, sometimes taller than the walls themselves. Inside, soldiers climbed ladders from level to level until the top opened onto the battlements. But towers were fragile and slow. Defenders hurled flaming arrows, rocks, and even dead animals to set them ablaze. The assault that reached the wall often ended in chaos, hand-to-hand fighting, screams, and fire. Section 7. The role of fear and propaganda. A siege wasn't only physical, it was psychological. Armies hung prisoners from gallows within sight of the city to break morale. Defenders displayed severed heads on walls to mock the attackers. Messages were shot over the ramparts, offers of surrender or warnings of slaughter. Both sides fought with fear as much as with iron. Section 8. Famous sieges that shaped history. Jerusalem, 1099. Crusaders stormed the city after a brutal siege, killing nearly every inhabitant. Rochester Castle, 1215. King John collapsed a tower using pigs fattened and burned beneath the walls. Orléans, 1429. Joan of Arc lifted the siege and changed the course of the 100 Years' War. Constantinople, 1453. The last great medieval siege, ended by cannons and the fall of an empire. Each siege was a laboratory of destruction. Each one reinvented the art of war. Section 9. The end of the age of sieges. Gunpowder ended everything. Cannons shattered the thickest walls in days. Moats and towers became useless. By the 15th century, engineers built star-shaped forts with angled bastions to deflect cannon fire, a new kind of fortress for a new age. The great stone castles of the Middle Ages were now relics, beautiful but obsolete. Conclusion. Siege warfare was the true face of medieval combat. It wasn't shining armor and chivalry, it was smoke, starvation, and screams echoing through stone corridors. The men who built castles and the men who broke them were part of the same deadly equation. Defense creates offense, and offense creates innovation. And from that brutal balance came the foundations of modern military engineering. Every castle ruin today is a reminder, not of romance, but of endurance. If you enjoyed this descent into the chaos of medieval siege warfare, hit like and subscribe to TorchLit History, where we bring the most dramatic stories of the Middle Ages to life every week. Comment, which siege weapon would you fear most, the trebuchet or the battering ram? And join us next time for Medieval Food, What People Really Ate. Because to understand how people lived, you have to see how they fought to survive.